And as we all know, we have been discussing, the need of the country is wide-ranging and enormous. It extends from bringing in the latest technology like SimLab. At the same time, there is a very dire and desperate need of very basic equipments like even the chest X-ray or the birthing tables or the baby warmers in the remote places of Nepal. And of course, there is in other dimensions, there is a need for infrastructure building to house the health posts or the labs, while at the same time there is a perpetual need to upgrade the human resources. And so with this I want to briefly talk about the challenges the project committee and the ANUF in general faces. The first is the fund. Of course, there is not enough fund to support all the projects that even we vet. And so here I would like to make a very sincere request to all the members and the donors to keep donating to ANMF as you have been doing again and again. And again, I would like to request to make even bigger donations, as was discussed earlier. And the second challenge we face is the decision making. Because of the wide-ranging and enormous need with a limited fund, we have a kind of difficult task of decision making in terms of which project to choose and which project not to. Say, for example, we get a request for funding for latest ultrasound machine for a pediatric critical care training at Cotton Hospital in the capital. At the same time, we get a request for say, X-ray machine and a remote Bhojpur. So we have to make a very difficult decision which ones to choose, just because we don't have enough funds all the time. And many times we do only partial funding because we feel like both projects are needed. So that's kind of hard decision. And here, what I would like to make a request to all the members who are here, or the members of the ANMF and others as well, to come and join the organization, because I feel folks who have expertise or experience, knowledge or interest in fields other than the clinical medicines, like say economics, public policy, or anthropology, or even sociology, to come join the ANUF so that we can navigate through that complex decision-making process more easily. So yes, I would like to request you all to join in your capacity in some kind of a position at the ANMF functioning body. And these are other 10 hardworking and knowledgeable committee members. I would like to mention Shraddha Manandar, who has been a only chair for the first several months of this subcommittee. I joined her later so we got a good feedback that was very helpful for people here who are practicing here as well as in Nepal. It was a good source of resource for those at that time of uncertainty. Now the next one was helping or mentoring the applicants during the residency application process. Now everybody, we have gone through that process. It's a long, tedious process, so helping those applicants in the process was an important step or important process of helping them get to the right direction. Now other important thing that we did was, particularly after COVID-19, now the problem of physician burnout has been in the forefront. Now, it was a problem than before, but with the COVID-19, more and more people are being aware that it's a real issue, and it's a real issue we need to tackle. So that's why we also felt the same need of educating ourselves, educating others on why we need to care about physician wellness. So there were a couple of good webinars. One was from one of the professors from Mayo Clinic, who did an excellent talk on basics of physician wellness and how do we understand who is burnout or not, and how do we tackle those. So followed by another lecture by one of the professors from the University of Tennessee, who did an excellent talk on how we do work-life balance on physician wellness topic. And we'll continue to do so in the future. We'll have more soft webinars in the future. And the other important one was the monthly critical care forum seminars that was done by a lot of the critical care doctors who have been helping educate critical care doctors back in Nepal through monthly webinars. Now the other two important, I think we have to talk about those, the fellowship training support that included one of the important one on liver transplant, pediatric critical care fellowship program, and then rheumatology fellowship program in Patna Hospital, which was one of the first fellowship program that was started in Nepal for training rheumatologists. And I was directly involved in that program to help them generate some revenue from ANMF and also from other sources. And that has been helping train rheumatologists in Nepal. Now, there are other research outcomes that came through the project members, and I'll make it brief. And then talking about the future directions, I think everybody knows that there's a lot to do. There is more to do from all of us. But we, as team, I think we are definitely capable of doing a lot of better things. So we'll be working hard on more investment and investment on strengthening of the medical education process, and even talking about how we can improve our medical education system in Nepal, working directly with policymakers who are making the curriculum of medical education. That is one of the focus that we'll be working on this year and the coming years. And the other one is more CME program on different topics that are needed here and then also in Nepal. And then other important one that we need to work a little more is capacity building on research. I think there's a lot of interest here, a lot of expertise here, which we can use those to improve the research facilities and research workforce back in Nepal. And I will thank you all for coming here, and then thank you all my ERDC members helping us make this a great team. Thank you.
1 p.m. 2 dark in a day, almost for about 3. It's like, wow, we can do something. And everywhere, everybody's getting ventilator, but nobody knows what that ventilator means. Because there was a news that everybody's dying because of no ventilator, but nobody knows what that means. So then something's coming. Raj, you got to write something. We are getting a ventilator, and you have to write something, so we'll get a 50 ventilator. And I was driving that time. It's like, I get into the hotel, we wrote an application, we get a 50 ventilator, we send it to Nepal. Now what? The problem is, who's gonna teach? What are we gonna do, right? Then with all the webinars and everything, then Santosh said, we will build some simulation center. And that's how the concept of the simulation center started. And just like a desire and hope, I think we can hope and we have to dream big. And we have a first meeting with the American Nepal Medical Foundation, Nepal President, and the Beer Hospital executive. You know what? Let's dream big. Let's plan for the big simulation project. Everybody have to chip in with that concept. We started the National Simulation Project in last 1 year. They have already trained 100 plus healthcare professionals, from the nurses to the doctor to the specialists. And then that's the simulation project. And we continue to do that, and then how are we going to support longitudinally? And these are all the members that you can see on the website. In 2022, to make this longitudinal support, we started doing the monthly clinical care conference with the Nepalese critical care doctors. And with that, all the critical care folks from America, they jumped in and just chimed in, and we have a lot of experts. We started the monthly critical care case discussion and presentation, and there are like 30 to 40 critical care physicians from Nepal every month. And now it is growing and growing. This is just the testament that how resilient we are. Because it's a challenge, we got more opportunity. COVID taught us there's more to do. We used to think we got to go to Nepal to give a lecture, but now we're doing every month. And from Nepal and from here. So this created an idea that we can do more. So it is now 15 months. We've been doing this every month. Take it from pulmonary hypertension, how to take care of the septic patient. We don't need to do a lot. If we can just give the IV fluid and antibody within the first hour, we can save a lot of life. We don't need to do a lot, but we have to improve the process. That's what we're striving for. And with this, we have more people already Ananta mentioned, we are the rheumatologist colleague are in the collaboration committee. Cardiologists are there. More other subspecialty friends are joining the collaboration committee, and even the nurse practitioner and our advanced clinical provider are joining it. In Nepal, I get to give a kudos to the Subhas Acharya. Because of him, all this is possible. We're thinking how to do it, but now it's possible and we are doing it. I would encourage all the other subspecialist colleagues to join us, and we should be the resource center for them. It's not that they don't know, they know, but we need to show them and we need to help them how to improve the system and how we can transfer the skills and technology. And this is all about our collaboration committee. And Naveen, I'm sorry if I didn't completely cover your slide, but if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer later. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Now I invite Dr. Devi Butcher from Mentorship Committee.
Process, and we got tons of applications. Just we have like 21 and 22. Well, I'm going to show you the slides to show, because I don't want to take much time. I want to go. So I want to show you directly that what this slide is, because I don't want to go over a lot of things. You could see there, as soon as we open up saying that we would review the personal statement, we got the applicants who are seeking out, I'm sure we all have the story. We were reaching out to our colleagues and friends. They're jumping on, you didn't know them, they're emailing you. When NF opened that, they send this application. Those personal statements we try to review. And with the BG schedule, right? How many personal statements have you reviewed? And I was in the committee and telling Sukirti, I'm not good at English. I don't want to talk about this English and grammar here. Then we reviewed it. The following year, last year, we had changed this like, okay, we will do the mock session. How to do it, what we're looking for. What we look for our residency applicant and fellowship applicants, we know, we've been on that position. We were on that side and we're now on this side. And we decided to do the mock interviews. We had plenty of requests. Unfortunately, we could not, do all. I myself did 10 mock interviews. Believe me, those 10 mock interviews, one mock interview took many, many hours to help them, to listen them, to guide them. And we were not able to accommodate all that. And I do see my colleagues and friends, all that, how do we get involved into this? How can I help? Everyone thinks ANF is asking for money. No, we don't need to go for money. We need to help and mentor. Right now, we listen to Dr. Rai, this like, I am like, he's gonna be my mentor from today, because I heard that there is giving, the giving gives us so much satisfaction. Thank you all. If you want to join the mentorship committee, the website is open and Santosh will have more information. Any committee you would like to.
We need more people, around the globe to get involved in ANMF. So the role of membership committee is very easy, right, to get more members. Because this is one of the way ANMF generate fund. And fund is very, very important for ANMF, right? We are talking about all the outputs, but if we do not have input, we cannot do anything. So yes, we can share knowledge and other stuff, but at the end of the day, we do need fund. So please consider joining ANMF as a life member. Okay, so for many, many years, we have two types of membership. One is life member, and another one is annual member. But this year, we have decided to add student member. So our hope here is to get resident, fellows, and students to bring under the umbrella of ANMF. Our expectation is we want to bring all under the umbrella of ANMF earlier in their career, hoping that they will get involved later as a life member and get more support and their expertise moving forward. So I want to talk about how to become a member, right? Anyone contact me or one of our member to be a member. But if you want to go to the website, it's very easy. Within 2 minutes, you can be a NMF life member, annual member, student member. Just click there. It will take you to payment section, and in 1 minute, just like that, you are NMF life member. So this year, we also started this for life members. We started creating a certificate, and we have been sending this in an email for all the life members. And we are also giving ANMF pin to all the members. This is one of the way to appreciate our members and donors. So this is an exciting thing now in ANMF. So as of now, our membership data and all of the data is all over. Our IT committee has been working tirelessly to create a cloud-based system called Salesforce. So within the next couple of months, all of our membership data will be in a cloud, and it will keep track of all the members, life members, annual members, student members, and it will track year after year donation they have done to ANMF. And our hope is to get all the past data also, so we can keep track of this, all the funds generating through the members and also through the donors. This is very exciting to us. So at the end, this is my request. Many misinformation is in the community that ANMF is a doctors association. This is not doctors association. This is everybody's association. We support Nepal in healthcare, but anyone can join ANMF as a life member, annual member, or student member.
And finally, what is our vision? Our vision is to make sure that all financial transactions are kept with transparency and clarity, to meet all rules and regulations of a non-profit organization, and also to give donors confidence to donate and to know that their donations are spent on a noble cause. We want to make sure that all the donors are comfortable in donating. So if anyone is interested, again, please contact one of our board members and they will sign you up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rester. So thank you, Mrs. Rester. So I now will invite Dr. Santos to come.
So, like, the chances of us mistyping that is really high, right? So we try to do ANMF.org, but someone already took that domain. And he was keeping that domain for a while because they already knew that rich doctors are doing ANMF, and then he already found out about that. He was keeping that, and then he was not letting us buy it. So BJ came, and then he tried to buy it. The price of that domain was $17, but as soon as we approached him, it became $1,700. So ANMF.org cost, and we kept trying. So the Fred found who was the owner of it, and he went to his house to convince him to sell it to us. So that's the story, and I'll just read the slide here. So Sarah Sigal is our chair, Fred is still helping, Sylvester is working on the web lead, and these are the member of our website committee or IT committee. What we do, we manage these web hosting and DNS, manage Salesforce, CNS, manage emails and security group. And there we have now we have our own ANMF.org as a domain. So any member who would like, our committee members, they can get their own email address. And everything that we do, they are all archived, so we can transfer, let's say the president email gets transferred to the next president to just like that, secretary, finance, and everything has been archived. And so because of that ANMF.org, the story that I told you about, all these things became possible. Right? Otherwise, who would have their email address as santosh.sapkota@AmericanNepalMedicalFoundation.com? The chances of that email never receiving is very high, right? All right, so if you go to ANMF.org, you will see a lot of information. But one of the information that you should not miss is a project committee tab, where we share you all the 300 projects that we have ever done. And all the new projects that are coming will be uploaded into it once we approve those projects. The beauty about that website, that project tab within the project committee, and Fred has been maintaining that, so kudos to him if he's listening somewhere from India. So I would like to acknowledge his tireless work for that as well. So you can see when we received the project, when we discussed that at the board, what was the decision that we made, when the MOU got signed, when the Social Welfare Council approval got received, and when the final MOU got signed, and then when the money got wired, and when the final report came in. And the report will have the pictures and videos as well. So this is really, really our everything that ANMF does in terms of projects is right there in the website. So our website committee, and we have a website for our conference. I think that has been a little bit getting easier for you to register for the conference. We'll have
everything is over there. Nevertheless, we have our committee members, and I think this has not been changed, and we are looking for volunteers as all the other committees are also requiring. And please, if you have any interest in writing, blogging, or even these days, because attention span is so small, if you are doing TikTok, writing small posts in Facebook, please, you are more than welcome to join this committee. And these are all as we just discussed about. And I actually forgot to put Instagram account over here. Santosh will be providing that information later. These days, TikTok is so popular in Nepal, so we're thinking about that. But I think the board needs to decide that, because TikTok in itself, it has both ways, good and bad things. So we'll work on that. Now, these are. This is the website where we can see our cooperation committee, previous newsletters, and these are the examples in 2019 as well as 2020, how we reached out to our members and life members and other communities. But for the last couple of years, ever since this COVID started, we have pivoted more towards instant messaging. And since there are a lot of posts these days, we have been reaching virtually rather than the old school newsletter. But again, I think time has changed. I think we can still go back to this form, and our goal is to at least have 2 newsletters in a year, or if not, at least 1 big newsletter, especially after the convention like this. So once again, a lot of work is already there in the website, and Publishing Committee is more or less collaborating with other committees. Please feel free to join and reach out to other executive committee, including myself, if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you all the committee members for your
Thank you. The next is Dr. Dilly Burtel from Virginia. We heard him this morning too. He contributed a lot for the mentorship committee. There were a lot of applicants who benefit from his committee membership. The next is Rasna Tiwari. She comes from Wisconsin. She's my fellow college mate. We saw her dance yesterday. She was able to put everyone on the rhythm on the center of the hall. Next is Santosh Satkota. I don't think he needs any introduction. He's been with the organization. He's been 2-time past president, probably only one person in the history, if I'm not correct. And he also is a current project committee member. Next is Dr. Regmi Subhasraj. He is the chair of this organizing committee. Without his all hard work, this conference would not have been possible. Next is Dr. Kafle. He worked for a collaboration committee, and he's in Sacramento, California. Next, I'd like to put technical procedures on the AGM. I'd like to put a motion to pass these applicants as a new board members.
I second it.
Thank you. Thank you. Since there's no opposing vote, the motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. We now congratulate all the 30 brand new board members. The total number of board members is 30. Thank you. This is the full list of the board members. I'll give 10 seconds to go over it. It's 30 names. It's a big team because we have a bigger mission. Thank you. With this, I'd like to conclude the annual grand meeting of 2023. Since we have a new board with 30 members, I would like to proceed with the election of the officers. The new applicants for the officers are present. Oh, sorry.
Bring an impact for the country Nepal. So with that, I want to start my presentation here. So my presentation is about land measurement months in Nepal, and we've been doing this project for the last 6 years. So I probably summarize this slide, focusing pretty much on the scientific part, but I'm going to go through this too much scientific part very quickly, and then do my best to give the big picture of what this project is about, and then what sort of impact we've been bringing to the country Nepal. All right, so the big picture of this project is that this project itself is really about the hypertension. We go to the community in every year in the May, and then measure the blood pressure on the random samples in the community, measure the blood pressure, and tell them how high their blood pressure was, and then tell them what they have to do in their daily life, so that they can change their lifestyle, and recommend them to go to the clinic so that they will be followed up by the primary care physicians. And as many of you maybe know, that the hypertension is the leading killer in Nepal as well as in the worldwide. You can see on the picture on the right side, but the hypertension is the leading cause of death in the country, in Nepal. And there are 4.7 million patients with the hypertension, and 80% of them do not know they have a hypertension actually. And also, among all of them, only 4% of them actually achieve high blood pressure control. So, which tells that almost 90% of them do not achieve their blood pressure control. And with that, I'm going to the next slide. So, May Measurement Month is, as I explained earlier, this is a community-based blood pressure screening project which started in 2017. And the aim of this project is to raise awareness in the community and facilitate policy making through screening blood pressure in adults in the community, and providing lifestyle counseling for the hypertensives, and also presenting the large-scale data to the decision makers such as policy makers and the funders and who has an impact to the country. And this May Measurement Month in Nepal has been led by the volunteers. So most of the staff are working in the non-profit organizations in Nepal, and most of the people who is actually screening the blood pressure and measuring blood pressures are volunteers, who is either college students or the community health volunteers, who is female community health volunteers in Nepal. And in this presentation, I will present the data from Nepal in the last 6 years and then share my lessons, the lessons we learned. So the study is a cross-sectional study annually conducted in May from 2017 to 2022. And the screening was done either in a screening site, in a public setting, or in a household. So, and then the participants are adults who is 80 years or greater. And we recruit the participants by setting a screening site in a public setting, either the supermarket or in the temples or in the hospital or in any public areas that we can use. Also, female community health volunteers visit the household and then ask them to join the screening campaign. And we give them the questionnaires, so they will answer the questions by paper-based questionnaires, or and also take the blood pressure 3 times in a sitting position, as you can see in the picture. And again, the volunteers are either college students or female community health volunteers. All right, so this is a little bit of statistic going here. So quickly, we measured the number of the patients.
And building a capacity, while those capacities build up healthcare workers, would itself feed forward to deliver the service within that community. And then integrating with the several different other components such as awareness and advocacy work across the lifespan, across the population. So what have we done so far? And again, with this idea of sustainable mental health development, we have already embarked on 5 different projects in this last 1.5 years. In December, we started with the homeless program, integration of mental health in homeless shelters. By April, we had actually embarked on the digital awareness program, which is a volunteer-coordinated and volunteer-led. And by September, we were able to start clinical services, which is based in Nadi. And then since then, we have started a series of community mental health programs. And we're very excited to say that in the next 3 months, we'll be starting a regional radio mental health program, which would be more focusing on the rural population. So I would like to highlight at least a couple of these projects, which is essentially the education of Manav Seva Ashram. Here lies the very epitome of the core of humanity, which is neglected. And as you can see, what we do we care about mental health? And essentially, largely the answer is that we do not care. We do not care because we're ashamed to talk about mental illness, but at the same time, we're also very much deeply stigmatized by the mental illness word itself. And hence, most of the perpetration of abuse of human rights actually occur with mentally ill population. Manav Seva Ashram has rescued people out of the streets, but also has been sheltering, feeding, and clothing, while NIMS has been providing mental health care. The other one, which I really believe is the core of even this conference as well, where we have utilized this human capital. The large cadre of volunteer students, especially from medical school as well as psychology students, have been building this very curated and then peer-reviewed mental health information bits and pieces, which is delivered through different social media platforms and then done in a very under a curriculum, and that has been being popularized in social media platforms. And then this clinic, that the uniqueness of this clinic is this is the only clinic which provides structured therapy largely in that region. And a lot of, again, volunteer power to have come along with several different community mental health programs. So this is close to where we are reimagining, which is what we have learned from different parts of other parts of the world, that we are in the process of acquiring land and having support for a partial adoption of our program, where we'll perhaps have the largest mental health center in Nepal, but also combining with outpatient programs as well as rehabilitation, things that we have learned here, like such as crisis intervention. So to end, really this is, again, this idea into a visa.
Running in a religious center in Nepal, Devghat. So Devghat is at the confluence of famous river in Nepal, Trishuli and Krishna Gandaki, where most of the senior citizens, they would like to live and in their life. So, and also, like there is a trend nowadays, there is a center for some orphans and helpless children also. There are few centers, and there is one of the first girls Sanskrit school in Nepal. So we take care of them, and this is running on charity basis. So Nepal, Devghat in next few decades, it will be one of the education center of Nepal, like Kashi of India. So with this background, so I would like to start my. So if you see the picture, so this is one of the patients. She came with she has cataract. She came for the screening for the cataract, and this is a complex. They have a complex medical problem. They have uncontrolled diabetes, like osteoporosis, dementia, all kind of a complex medical problem in the geriatric populations. So this clinic is trying to provide like a different kind of curative care, preventative care, as well as health education, and also health. As a primary care doctor, we are in the US, so we are like a health, work as like a health manager also. So we coordinate care. We work with different cancer hospitals, civil hospitals, and private hospitals in Bharatpur, and help patients. And especially the commendable work done by this clinic is that it was active during the pandemic also. So it was really being we feel proud to be part of that community, providing healthcare services to the people. So another aspect is we provide care with we have limited resources, so it's a charity care, but the outcome we get is is very big. Even though it is free, but we accept the voluntary donation. So, but we provide compassionate care, and also financially, we are still sustainable because of your donations, over there, and we provide health education. Those are the mission and core values of these organizations. So let's go to another chart. This we already finished. So if you see the demographics, we mainly are a geriatric, a center of geriatric place. So we provide free health care to the geriatric nursing homes.
And the partner organization here registered as Nepal's. So as I want to go directly to the background, if we look at the resources that's available for our country, it's very limited. We have a 29 million population, and then we have a 29 million population, out of which 12 million children. And do you know how many pediatricians are there? Any guesses? 700. If you compare with the American Academy of Pediatrics, there are 69,000 pediatricians registered there. And the country, which is just 1/5 of the population, has, we cannot even imagine, right? Forget about the specialist. So, I put this slide here. I'm a pediatric cardiologist. That's what I deal with. Babies and children born, even before they are born, we diagnose them, and we're doing the state of the art to create the fontan circulation so that these children live as an adult. This is the time has come to Nepal as well to move forward, and we don't even have neonatal surgery. So then, because of this, is the mic on? Because the mic also understood my emotion, right? That's why, even before I cry, just okay, really take a push, right? So what we thought is, how can we do this? How can we work together, right? So we decided, we started collaborating. I'm sure my friends and colleagues have already done this. It could be a reinvention of the wheel. So we focused on this group. We just talked with many advocates, many collaborations, many institutes in Nepal. And finally, we decided that we need to focus on the residents. So what we've been doing is, since last 6 months, we started doing monthly webinars. And you could see that our first initial webinar had only 12 participants. Second, we did a little bit of more networking, got good enthusiasm. Second and third, then the enthusiasm died. So I think we're like 35, 34. And if you look at this, right? If you look at this, now the question comes, should we continue or not? We got frustrated and annoyed, right? But we got to continue that, and we need to move forward. And we're doing it at 7:45 p.m. on Saturday so that people can join and trying to get the time. And we asked the expert from here, the world experts, as well as the panelists from Nepal. So we are discussing these cases to, generate more, more energy. So we are just continuing to go this, collaboration, and our challenges are there, lots of challenges ahead, and we're still trying to figure it out. And going back to that single slide, right, where I'm imagining for the single ventricle to survive, and I'm struggling to get even this participation here, right? Now, I wanted to know, is this the awareness gap, or is this the resource gap? So we decided to do a survey, and I decided to go ahead. It took 6 months to get the approval from, our research council in Nepal, obviously, and we need the investigator from there. I'm sure my colleague who have been doing research would understand that. After 6 months, I got this. So I wanted to know, are you aware of this CCSD screening? Means we can detect them before birth, as well as before they are discharged from the hospital. It's a simple oxygen test. Then we stratify, and we do the echocardiogram, we confirm, and we fix, right? It's very straightforward here. It's like a knee-jerk response. My colleague in Nepal, this is the survey from there, they know, right? It's not the education gap. So we asked the question, what is the gap? And many of them said that, we discharge them early, we don't have the resources. I mean, usually this test is done like 24 hours after. We don't have the resources. We cannot wait. We cannot even have time to do the good physical examination. Forget about taking 2 minutes to do this test, right? I think the message is clear, and that's why we're here, right? I know it's a scientific session.
So we run 5 chairs, right? There's doctors coming from America. Everybody comes to the hospital. I want to be seen, and we start screening them for surgical issues. The hospital floor and the nurses station, I hope we all are familiar with what it looks like in Nepal, and that's one thing that we scrub the floors when we get them, we clean it up, because every time we go, dust collects all those years, and because of the manpower, I'm not trying to blame anybody, but it's just manpower. They do not have it over there, so we go and make it happen. Now again, the life in the area, again, the same thing, is more like they're very hardworking. They have to work for food in their plates at night, for themselves and the family. And I'm not even exaggerating this. Actually, I'm under saying this because people will have 1 meal a day. That's all they can afford. And I'm trying to help those people who cannot afford to leave their work and come to a hospital and go back. And these people living in the mountains, and since most of us are Nepalese here too, we are aware, they have to walk for days just to get to a hospital or to see a doctor. And getting these major surgeries, that's out of their budget. And it's not available in any district hospitals as well. Now they are starting to creep up slowly, and they're very aware of it too. And the same thing, I'm just trying to picturize what life is like in those areas. Kids, instead of going to school, go carry some stuff, bring some grass for their cattle, or goats at home. And there's a 4-year-old who's a brick mason, so he's bringing bricks and making their livelihood. If they don't do that, they don't have food on the table. And forget about coming to a hospital to get treated, because they lose that day. That means their kids are hungry. So what I'm doing here is I bring a team of 50 to 70 volunteers from here. It's a multidisciplinary surgical mission where I run 5 tables. And 2 of the tables are OBGYN for the prolapses. So we have UroGYN from here. The American UroGYN Association is very helpful with that to provide me with a lot of resources, especially volunteers to go with me. So we do reconstructive surgeries. We do not just go and do a hysterectomy and come back. If we can reconstruct the uterus and the vaginal area, we will reconstruct them and then send them back. But again, these are really bad prolapses we see. Sometimes we see like 4, 5, 4th or 5th degree prolapses with ulcers. And the worst one I've seen is ulcers with pus dripping from it.
For the last 21 years, and I trust those part of the lands being there, almost representative of different parts of different sorts of geography in Nepal. I'm showing my birthplace. It's in a hilly region. I was shifted to Tarai in early childhood. Why I am showing this is like, you know, the chain of migration pattern that happens in Nepal is just people for the sake of education to the child, children, and for facility, they just come down. And even in Tarai region, if they want to educate more, or they want to give more facility to their children, they move to the market area. And if they have the capacity to move further, they come to the capital, that's Kathmandu. Even further, if they have the capacity, they try for the abroad, like you people are here. So, wheresoever we are not missing our lands. So, the thing is, we have all the hearts to the motherland, but the theme rightly put, this is networking and coordinating in advancement of healthcare. So, you have the heart to your motherland, we have the connection. That's the way I have come here. This is the place where I reside now. This is I take this opportunity to invite you all. This is just 20 miles away from the birthplace of Buddha. So I welcome you. Whensoever you land in Bhairava airport, just give me a call. It's just 20 miles away from me. Okay, this is a very beautiful place. Just to remind you, few of you might be there. I think one of my friends, Manoj Bhatrai, is here, but second batch and also I was the first batch. Just you see, that was the photograph taken that time. I was the first batch. It's all nostalgia. This is the great view of Vipika. Okay. This is our beloved first professor. You remember his face. He is now 76, Professor Bijlani. During graduation ceremony, let G.P. Koirala awarded, he was the then Prime Minister, awarded this graduation to all of us, first batch and second batch together. I remember those. Okay. So, after being medical graduate from a school, what happens is there are 4 choices. Either you join government service, you go to institution and give the service, or you just get absorbed to the private practice. Though it could be premature before specialty. And another option is, you all are here through USMLE and all like that. But I joined government service and I landed up in Humla. Then this was 22 years back, almost. So through sequential promotion and all like, I was 7th level when I joined government service, and I happened to be first doctor to be posted in one of the remotest area in Nepal, that was in Himalayan territory. Then I happened to be in the hillside, Gulmi, then Viratnagar, then Budwal, or like, and I achieved 11th level. It was just below to the topmost hierarchy in government position. So in service, during in service, I achieved this post-graduation in radiology. That was another achievement. What happened was, wheresoever I was posted, I was the first man. It was by coincidence, or like there was no other person in an option. Of late, I happened to be a manager or a chief executive in Butwal, twice actually, during the time of crisis. First time it was the blockade of border from our neighboring countries, from India. That time we faced this lack of medicine supply. During that time, the friends, they came to join the helping hand, like NRM Chair, Mr. Ses Gale, he came with chart pen to give support in medicine. Second time during this is the COVID crisis. The crisis was over and I was transferred to Kathmandu, Kanti Children Hospital outlet. Then again, this Ministry of Health, they recommended me in the post of Provincial Health Secretary, but that sort of things were not carried out further, they didn't execute. And I thought that this was because of high-level political interference, I can't go further. That way, I voluntarily resigned from government service. So it was early retirement, around 50. So I missed certain opportunities, I can talk later on. In making, it was not impulsive sort of decision to resign from government, being for 21 years, and I could have been health secretary in due course of time. But there was some decision crisis. I should say it's a mental conflict. Sometimes whether you go right or wrong, what are the options, then you ask yourself and you ask suggestions from your friends, and you remember your guru, your professor, or like your parents. And before that, okay, what is the reality of healthcare in Nepal? That's geographical location, lack of education, socioeconomic, and lack of infrastructure and equipment. There is lack of adequate training and motivation. This is cause. And major cause is lack of willpower in leadership, particularly in political and bureaucratic. In the morning, Dr. Ramesh Bhandari, he was just remarking. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll finish it. So we are also missing certain things. This was a talk. You can go through Professor Bijlani's. It's a good reference, and because of just getting this, I made my decision. My new chapters are I'm in actually refining clinical specialty service. I'm having fetal medicine practice out there, and I'm detecting few congenital arteries, especially critical congenital cardiac disease, and I'm getting network with Dr. Buttel in BCU, and we are also carrying out certain mentorship program. So, okay, these are the things. So sometimes
he agrees that we live in a much warmer world. We just recorded the highest temperature. It was the warmest decade ever. And the tragedy and the sad part is that it does not stop here. The world is getting warmer by the year. As the world is getting warm, there is an exodus of the Nepalese youth that has continued. In the last decade, more than almost 4.5 million youth have left Nepal to seek a job opportunities abroad. And this is the statistics from last year, but every other household has one member who is abroad. And believe it or not, but they generate a whopping 9.5 billion with a B in the revenues, which is about a third of the GDP of Nepal. But this comes with a price tag, which is when our workers are there, especially in the Gulf countries and Indonesia, they work long hours, are exposed to very hot environment, extremes of heat, with very little or inadequate protection and questionable access to drinking water and care. So this sort of summarizes, you have a high heat stress environment, you have insufficient labor protections, and you have a heavy workload. So the picture speaks for itself. What lies in illness, injury, and early mortality. Something that we have been seeing and unfortunately been known to, at least for the past 7 years. Since 2016, the international community, the press has been all over it. But it was not until the Qatar World Cup frenzy hit in, and that's when the topic started front and center. And it's really tragic that we as medical communities were kind of trailing behind, and we started picking some signals through, in a lack of a better word, a non-robust poor methodology clinical studies that, hey, there may be, and if you could notice that something suggesting it could be a higher risk of kidney disease, but this was a volunteer self-administered questionnaire for about 35 nephrologists in the country, but at least this helps put the issue somewhere in the map. Hey, maybe we are seeing some kidney disease among the returning migrant workers. The very interesting thing about the kidney disease is these are young people who leave the country with a clean bill of health. They do not have any of the conditions that are considered traditional risk factors for kidney disease. They are not obese, not diabetic, not hypertensive, or very low proportion. And this is what we see, and the condition, since we do not understand it yet, we call it a CKD-NT, or chronic kidney disease of non-traditional cause, semantics. But that's where comes in the foundation, which I'm very proud to be a part of, the LISLA Foundation, or LISLA Network now. And a lot of credit about bringing CKD-NT into front and center goes to this organization. So a lot of credit goes for them to put CKD-NT on the map, advancing science through research, and being a vehicle for policy changes. These are mostly based on the Mesoamericas. So the picture that you see here on the left upper corner is the sugarcane worker in Costa Rica. They also advanced the science. This is the data from Nicaragua. But basically, on the top row, you see the cutters. Basically, it is a graded heat exposure.
I think it's an experience that I think we've come across. But if I had to summarize our organization and why we exist, people are going to be arguing about the pathophysiology and the specific etiology of CKD-NT until we have a lot more gray or a lot less hair. So we've really adopted this position of risk mitigation. How do we assess risk? How do we intervene and do no harm? And how do we mitigate the impact of disease onset and the impact of the disease itself? So what really happened was an unaddressed disaster prompted action. I was a young filmmaker. We stumbled on this issue by covering kind of disasters in the banana supply chain due to pesticide exposure. And these banana workers that were sterilized by a chemical called dimethylchloropropane back in the 70s and 80s said, oh, we might be sterile and we might be cut off from our social security that is our children, or our children we didn't have. But these sugarcane workers are dying. And so I decided really quickly a film would be cute at that point, and I needed to find people much smarter than me as a little filmmaker from Brooklyn, like a proto-hipster back in 2007. And I started connecting the dots with the local researchers who had seen this and characterized it, but were lacking funding. So I basically took it upon myself to build a team of epidemiologists, toxicologists, nephrologists, and the rest to start getting the funding to really understand what was going on, but with a main focus of understanding, could we identify risks soon enough to intervene? And then I decided, if I'm going to do this, I better be able to speak the language, so I pursued epidemiology. But it was really just nothing was going on. Like, there was really no funding, there was no recognition. It's very similar to what we just shared from Nepal with the workers abroad. And, you know, the funding maybe over the last, and this includes the funding for Sri Lanka and India, has been about 45 million. And I'm not bragging when I say La Isla's got about 1/3 of that over the years. I think that's a problem. There should be a lot more funding for an issue that is certainly being underreported. I mean, those numbers are probably very low. So you can see, you know, just this map, it's a huge issue. And like the commonality is basically the lowlands, high impact jobs that are not being addressed. Just as a point of comparison, you know, about 18,000 people since '76 have died of Ebola, but it gets 1 billion. Because frankly, I think quite selfishly, we're scared of Ebola. It might come out of plane and get us. Whereas the people affected by this disease are really like the bottom rank, right? They're the guys that are cutting sugarcane, digging gold out of the ground, building World Cup stadiums. So there's a funding shortfall despite, this not just being agriculture, this not just being in Mesoamerica. We've documented in construction workers, rights.
Prevention and control through epidemiological, interventional, and translational research. Over the past year, he has published more than 100 scientific articles, the majority of which are related to Nepal. Dr. Neupane founded the Nepal Development Society, an NGO which focuses on research, innovation, and development. He oversees the community-based management of non-communicable diseases cohort in Nepal. He received his Health Research Outstanding Award from Nepal Health Research Council and the Hans Ibsen Hypertension Award from the Danish Society of Hypertension. Thank you, Dr. Neupane, for all your scientific contribution and your efforts in improving the healthcare in Nepal. I would like to call Dr. Neupane to deliver
these slides in front of you. There were the days where I had to put money from my pocket, when I had to put my pocket money on this institution to establish and to initiate the research activities through this organization. But today we have exceeded 1.6 million annual, so far our cumulative budget exceeded 1.6 million, and that is the money that we have spent in Nepal. This does not include the cost associated with me or other faculty members outside of Nepal. And this is a leading research NGO which had published more than 200 scientific articles from Nepal in the last 5 years. And the organization is well equipped with research facilities and all basic necessary research software for research. And we do many other projects, but here I'm going to present about community-based management of non-communicable disease cohort, COVID cohort, and which is closest to my heart as well. And we implementing this cohort in then Leknath municipality of Kaski district. And on the right-hand side, you can see small dots, the red, yellow, and green. These dots were distribution of our participants according to their hypertensive status. And we also have this kind of GIS map for diabetes, for COPD, and other chronic diseases. The objective of COVID is to, the aim is that to develop a center of excellence in chronic disease research in Nepal, population-based chronic research in Nepal. And our objectives are to conduct high-quality epidemiological studies on chronic disease in Nepal, to design and evaluate high-quality interventional studies in Nepal, and to explore the cost-effective and sustainable interventions which can be implemented in the context of Nepal. And also, one of our objectives is that to build the research capacity in Nepal. We started our cohort back in 2013 with hypertension, and then we added diabetes, then later we added COPD and cervical cancer screening. And from this year, you might have heard from earlier presentators, we are also adding chronic kidney disease. We also do other types of study, like we did the first study estimating the sodium intake using the 24-hour urine collection in Nepal. We did a first study exploring the association between vitamin D and rheumatic heart disease in Nepal. So there are other many, and I have asked my colleague Yoko to distribute our publication where you will have a sense what we are doing. I'm not going through all these publications, but you can see Dr. Eko is distributing our publications from this cohort. I'm not going in detail on these numbers, but those of you who are interested to do something, we have a very high quality database. So far we have collected 3 waves of data collection, and we also have the disease specific data. And the good news is that our retention rate is over 80%. It's been more than 10 years, but we are still getting, it's been possible to go back and collect the data from over 80% of our participants that were recruited in the beginning. So our objective is not only that highlighting the problem, but we also want to find a solution. What can be done in the local context? And many of you must be aware about the health system in Nepal. We have made a remarkable progress on reducing the maternal and child health mortality over the last 25 years. Unfortunately, it did not come because of we had enough doctors or we have enough hospitals.
Mental health gap we have in Nepal, mental health care service gap, and what are we doing? So I have three objectives. First one, I would like to talk a little bit about the collaborative effort of Health Foundation Nepal to establish infrastructure, because we need infrastructure to provide any healthcare services. And second, we'll talk a little bit about what we have been doing in terms of the mental health services through Health Foundation Nepal. And third, very minimally, I would like to talk a little bit about the outcome, not much. And again, in contrast to Dinesh's presentation, his focus is a lot on research, right? So he is one of the greatest scholars in Nepal in terms of publication and doing research and establishing community-based research in Nepal. So our project is mainly on delivering the services, so not much research. But we need to do that, of course. So first thing is, what is the gap? Looks like this is a little bit kind of older slide, not updated one, but that's okay. So most of us, we know that there is significant mental illness burden, meaning roughly 20 to 25% people will have mental illnesses in their lifetime. That is in general data. We don't know much about Nepal, but I think that is the case in Nepal as well. And second, what is the gap? So if 100 people have any clinically diagnosable mental illnesses, how many people will have access to the healthcare? 10%, right? 10 to 50% people will have access. Meaning there is severe gap, 80 to 90% service gap exists in mental health care. And then what about the resources? What do we have? Earlier, Dr. Yadav presented that roughly less than 1% of the health care budget goes into mental health. But the burden is really, really severe. And this is one of the most neglected healthcare field in the world, not only in Nepal. And if we talk about the infrastructures, very few hospitals provide psychiatric services. Human resource, okay, we have some psychiatrists, but if we think about other mental health professionals, very, very minimal. And then if we think about outside Kathmandu, it's very, 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 very limited resources. So, I don't know why this is here, but financial disclosure, sorry, I had to mention that before. This is that thing. Okay. So then this is a slide about where the mental health care exists in Nepal. Basically it's Kathmandu Valley, but if you go outside in medical schools, they provide some sort of mental health care. But think about what the mental health care is. It's not only prescribing the medication, right? But that is what exists outside Kathmandu, but very limited mental health, real mental health services outside Kathmandu. But does it make any sense for us to do something outside Kathmandu? Can we establish some standard psychiatric care services outside Kathmandu, mainly more rural Nepal? Let's see what happens. Okay. So, Health Foundation Nepal has been starting or doing mental health programs since 2017. And before that, we had other programs, and we have amazing NCD research and clinical program. And
up and running. I ended up doing 6 months of psychiatry. And that's when I understood the impact of mental illness on individuals and families and entire society. The challenge you have taken, it's huge, but it will have dramatic impact. Thank you, and congratulations. So, essentially, I'm going to be briefly talking about what we have done and how we do things. And I do not have anything to disclose. So we organize a large number of cancer conferences. In fact, we organize more hematology and oncology conferences in the United States than anybody else. And the Disparities Conference we organize is one of our flagship conferences. It is attended by who is who in the United States in the field of cancer care. People from FDA, NCI, and leaders from all over the country, they show up at this meeting. So in 2018, April, we talked about geographic disparities in access to cancer care. So we invited Dr. Robert Wen, a friend of mine who is a leader in the field from Virginia. So he spoke about how your cancer care outcome is determined by where you live. The zip code decides the cancer care outcomes. So it's like, you know what, your DNA is truly very important in determining the cancer biology and the outcomes. But he came up with the term, the ZNA, based on zip code. There's like, the ZNA is as important as DNA. Instantly, I thought about Nepal. If you think about Nepal, right? So in 2018, all the cancer centers were in this state. Nepal, a country of 30 million people. And every single cancer center, either in Kathmandu or Bharatpur, completely unfair to almost 25 million people in the country. Everywhere else, they will travel to Kathmandu to even get basic tests, even to get basic chemotherapy drugs. We felt that was unfair. And we decided to establish this cancer center. It was very hard for me to convince my board members. Most of them are oncologists from all over the country. They said, you know what, Vinay, it is easy to practice as an oncologist, but establishing a cancer hospital is very, very challenging. It is capital intensive, which costs a lot of money. It is technologically highly complex, and you need a lot of expertise. So I explained to them that, you know what, if it was easy, somebody else would have done it. Since it is difficult, we must do it. And everybody agreed. And December of 2018, we established a 25-bed hospital out of a rented building. We took one step at a time. We started with palliative care, basic lab tests. Then we established chemotherapy in the services and all that. And we are proud to be able to have run this program for the last few years, and we are in the process of establishing a truly world-class cancer hospital that people of Nepal and can be proud of. So we recognize a bunch of needs. We thought about patient care. We want to have truly cutting-edge treatment to the patients. I also want this institute to be conducting research that is appropriate in local context, as well as be the center for education. So identify different needs, immediate needs, and then long-term needs. Now, as you may know,
the quality of data, the accurate data, and of course we follow the standard protocols, but the most important thing that we are retaining the same data assistants or data research officer or whatever we call for many years. Hopefully that answers.
Yes, that's great. But the question is, how would you know if they fake data? They can easily, you can train them, but they can fake data, and that will become culture in Nepal.
Yeah, so there are multiple answers I can give, and I fully trust the data that we collected. One thing is that we are focusing on the certain geographical locations, and then we have the supervisors. Like myself, when I had a hypertension trial, I was on the ground, meeting, going, visiting the each household and seeing that how the data integrators are doing, whether they are following the rules or not, standard protocol, whether they are doing or not. And we also do the cross-checking by doing the interview with the participants, what the integrators were doing. We do around 5 to 10% of this in each studies. We go back to the participants and ask them whether they are doing it or not. And I totally agree, it's not an easy task, but I believe that we are trying our best, and I think we have a very minimal data quality error. And also one thing that I want to, we use the rate cap database to enter the data, which is the most trusted kind of minimizing the entry errors software, which is widely used in health science.
Thank you. All right. Malati, you have a question?
Yes, I have Dr. Elizabeth Trout. Let me introduce myself. I'm a hospitalist currently working in Novant in Huntersville, and Elizabeth Trout was my resident. I'm so proud to see her from first year, second year, third year, then became my colleague. She went for fellowship and came back to our same program. And I was amazed that she went to Nepal and what she did. When I found out about the Global Health Symposium, first thing it struck my mind was, it is Elizabeth Trout. I have to get
the opportunity to practice in many countries around the world, including Nepal, where I spent some months. I spent my time divided between inpatient and outpatient, the inpatient being in Kathmandu Model Hospital, and I got to work with the family medicine inpatient service and their obs-gynae service there as well, and learn from the providers locally on the ground. I think a lot of our residents are here in Charlotte they're very desiring of an international and global health experience. We have trainees that are coming to us from other countries, and we have residents that just have an interest in practicing medicine with a more global mindset. I think that the barriers to medicine that I have seen all around the world are the same for many communities. So the barriers that patients have in Honduras is very similar to the barriers that patients in Nepal have. And all of our communities come up with different solutions and ways to overcome those barriers. And I think the more that we can help each other and support each other and share our solutions and our projects, the more we can lift each other up. So that's something that our residents are strongly desiring, and it's really just a matter of helping facilitate that for them. I know from my time personally in Nepal, I learned so much from the providers there and felt like I was really part of that community. I would love for my residents to be able to share in that experience, so we're currently exploring options for how we can help facilitate that for them.
To be some basic arrangements for logistics. For example, you need to have place for people to stay, safety, for them to be able to communicate, and for them to understand their expectation when you go there to the poor country, and recognizing that these are the issues you would face. For example, if you go to Janakpur, there are mosquitoes. So you need to be aware of that. And you need to have mosquito repellent or whatever the precautions you need to take. So it needs to be framed in a way that is going to make this rotation fulfilling for the residents or fellows or students at the end of the rotation.
So when I was choosing an organization to partner with in Nepal, I found Volunteer Society Nepal, which is Nepali established and Nepali led. I feel very strongly about partnering with local organizations and avoiding medical tourism, for lack of a better word. Not just showing up and bringing some medicines and then leaving, but really investing in an organization that is giving back to the community that they're embedded in. And so I think that any opportunities that we would explore in the future, we would want to partner with organizations that already have an impactful presence on the ground.
Program. And when we were running the childhood malnutrition program, I got a request from two interns, I think they were undergraduate students in Spain, and that was 2014. And they wanted to go to Nepal and do some work with our project. And I said, oh, it can be really challenging, and you have to think a lot about that, and they insisted. And I arranged everything, and I went over potential risks, and they took the risk away. And they went in summertime. It was in Dang district, and it's pretty hot. Not exactly like Janakpur, but kind of closer. And what happened was that we had a medical officer to supervise them, which was good. Well, we didn't have the high public health officers like we have at this time at that time. So they were okay, but they got sick. And I got a call, it was the middle of the night, and they said, one of the interns is lying down on the floor, we don't know what to do, she's on the village. Then I had to rescue her from here, calling my colleague in Dan Gorai hospital, and there was no other vehicle, right? And she had to be put on the motorbike, and there was one person holding her from side, and they transported her to Gorai, which is 8 kilometers far from that project site. And they luckily she was fine, and she had severe dehydration, and she was okay. And then after that, she had to transfer to Kathmandu, and I wanted her not to go back to the Dang district again. And after that, we had to start the program for 2-3 years, and now we have pretty robust training program. We have regular interns from international community as well as from Kathmandu. But what about you? Did you have any of those challenges?
I have myself gotten quite ill while I was overseas, and I think it's a very humbling experience when you become a patient in a country whose healthcare system you are not familiar with. I was very ill. I spent a summer in India when I was in medical school, and I was quite ill while I was there. And I suddenly went from being a medical student to a patient who had no idea how to access the medical care system, or how to get the medications that I needed, or really how to do anything. And I think that that was a very eye-opening and humbling experience for me to share what many of the people I was serving were experiencing. But that's certainly something that you always have to be prepared for when you're going outside of, to a country overseas, that you yourself are going to have limited access to medical care, and how do you prepare for that?
A lot this evening is family. I was talking in the morning as well, and from here, from all the ANMF family, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to all the families of everybody who has been volunteering on ANMF. We understand those of you who have already worked on ANMF in the past, or from all the experience, we have to have the meetings for all the things, like for example, organizing team. We're having meetings on Zoom till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night, because we have to start the meeting at 7 or 8 o'clock after getting your work done, after getting your evening chores done. So when you're all busy, your family, we're pulling all the things to get the kids rested, do everything that is needed, and make sure you could do what you are passionate in doing. So I want to wholeheartedly appreciate to all the family. I want to deeply appreciate to my beautiful wife Aditi, who has been my backbone and support in all I do, and she keeps her smile despite me being busy at 2 o'clock. She takes care of the kid and let me do what we are doing. So I want to apologize, you have to do that one more year because they elected me president again. But at the same time, I want to thank you for everything you do, and thank you for Abhinav Ayans for everything. So at the same token, I want to take a deep appreciation for each one of your family. And since family is so important, as an organizing team, when you're organizing, all the family were involved as well. I want to appreciate all the family from deep heart from NMF, and as everybody here, I want to support deep love for that family, and family is what we stand for. So I want all of us to give a big round of applause and a standing ovation for all the family and all the sacrifices they make for doing all these great things. So let's give a big round of applause for all the families. Thank the families of everyone, everybody. Our ANMF family thanks each one of your family, and that's what we are on the deepest of it. So as you see, this gala evening, we are united to be together with our even another bigger, deeper family, motherland, giving back to Nepal. So enjoy your food now. We'll be having fundraising. We'll be talking about a lot of great projects we are bringing along, and we want to get all those energy, whatever we can do, and get those things rolling, moving forward. So having said that, I would like to officially thank wholeheartedly from everybody, and have a great evening, have a fun time. There is a DJ going on and a lot of great things happening this evening. So let's make it memorable in fun as well as having a lot of great work done. So having said that, I'd like to give this microphone to Raju and Moni. They have been working very hard, and thanks for all the great things you have been doing. So thanks a lot to organizing team, thanks a lot to all the presenters, thanks to all the sponsors, and thanks.
Have an incredible evening planned with delicious food, amazing entertainment, and plenty of opportunities to connect and network with fellow professionals, and more so, highlights of the ANMF project and raise funds. Once again, welcome to the ANMF Gala Dinner, and thank you for your presence here tonight.
Yes, Manny, it is very different. It's absolutely different than we never experienced before. And it's truly special in many ways. It's not just because of the size. Yes, it is very special because we have so many distinguished guests. This is the first gala dinner for many of you. It's not just special because of that. But guess what? Last 3 years was unprecedented. Many a time we question ourselves, are we going to be there tomorrow? Do you not feel this is not usual, right? This is a new normal we are heading toward. Just like a couple of months before, we were scared to sit next to each other. We were thinking who is not going to be there next week. We are thinking who we going to lose.
Other thing is, if you don't want to make anything life member, you can just donate, it's. And then I also want to, with this donation and life member thing, I also want to make a special announcement tonight. During the last board meeting, what we have decided is we'll be making ANMF Wall of Hearts. They are the special hearts who wants to contribute and donate. Like, you don't have to make a life member. And basically, if you are giving 5,000, you are considered as a gold life wall of hearts. And if you have 10,000 is platinum, 20,000 is diamond, 40,000 is double diamond, and 100,000 is Kohinoor. So basically we have the similar line on the sponsorship. So if you are sponsoring, we are already doing on that. And then if you don't want to sponsor, you don't have any project, but you just want to give by a clear heart, that is always that. So we want to open that as wall of hearts. So if you want to have your wall of hearts for ANMF, that's an option, and keep that option open as well. So with that, I would like to give this to our ex-president, Dr. Bhupesh Kharka, to present on the past projects and future projects that we are supporting. I want to thank Dr. Bhupesh Kharka especially for his great work throughout the tenure. He worked so passionately, he worked so hard, he was working late nights, coordinating meetings with people from UK, Australia, everywhere. He created all the global brains, and with all of that global brains, we were able to do a lot of Zoom and online meetings. And we couldn't have live at that time, but we had a lot of fund collected during COVID, a lot of great projects done. And kudos to our past president, Dr. Bhupesh Kharka. And I would like him to present on some project, and Vishnu is there on the line as well. So let the fundraising continue. Think about what you want to give. You can make a life member, you can just donate, you can be a wall of hearts. So keep it going, do here, do online. And with all that, I want to appreciate especially to Dr. Bhupesh Kharka for his tenure. We never had a live conference, which he already wanted at that time, but here he is. Welcome, Bhupesh.
Thank you, thank you. Before I take too much time here, I would like to show you what we did in 2021 during the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Please, Santosh, turn on this video that we did, which helped us to bring 3 oxygen plants, 3 refill systems from France to Nepal, and we donated to all the 3 hospitals outside of Kathmandu. Let's hear it.
And we're trying to get greatest level of care to help that. So as we go along with the fundraising evening, we want to continue with this fundraising drive. So you can do by multiple ways, as it was listed earlier. You can do by Zelle, PayPal, Facebook Pay, or you can send check to the accounts which are already displayed, and we have multiple barcodes in the table as well. So as we heard multiple speeches in the morning, and just talking about Dr. Rasu Shrest's presentation this morning, so he showed like very nice slide of how we as Nepalese are very kind, courageous, and we want to make sure that kind is not a weakness, it's a strength. So this evening is way to segue that kindness to strength. We want to be kind to those people who don't have resources to get the basic minimal care. Dr. Rai was showing how small pads 12 by 12 inch costs like $10,000, but like people are dying for cause for $3,000 they cannot get the care. So I think there is a great return of investment on a small investment that you do, and we are all fortunate enough to be in a spot at this time where we can give something to the cause. And if you want to give anything, ANF is such a great segue. Our management cost is very, very minimal. 99% of whatever you goes to the ground. So having said that, there is a way how you can make donation on the PayPal, Zelle and Facebook on the display monitor there. So how is the barometer doing, guys? How is the fundraising and barometer going?
Supporting me this. Music please. Raju gonna be giving me some back vocal here.
I will try.
जन्माई हुर्काई सछन् बनाई विदेशीहरू के गरिरहेछन् भन्दै खोजिरहेछन् मातृभूमि भन्दै सोधिरहेछन् मातृभूमि कतै हामी अल्मलियो कि विदेशमा नै कतै हामी भुल्यो कि स्वदेशलाई नै फर्की हेरौँ साथी सङ्गी अब त केही गर्नु छ स्वदेशमा पनि अब त केही गर्नु छ स्वदेशमा पनि सँगै सँगै
is not here today, but we are awarding her, Dr. Richard Kasman and Marvin Burstein, attorney at law. So we're going to
Yeah, in the meantime, everybody can come inside, please. Then we'll have an award ceremony. So please come inside.
So Dr. Sunil Sharma is working as an emergency medicine physician at Carl T. Hedden VA Medical Center, Arizona. He is a fellow of American College of Emergency Medicine and American Academy of Emergency Medicine. Dr. Sharma is a founding member and board member of American Nepal Medical Foundation. Where did you go here? Okay. He previously held positions of secretary, vice president, president, chairperson for project committee, education committee, and fundraising committee. Dr. Sharma helped organize and teach coronary cerebral resuscitation course in Pawton Hospital in 2008. Dr. Sharma led ANMF team to Nepal. Immediately after earthquake with Team Rubicon, he was on the editorial board of publication of Earthquake Preparedness and Disaster Relief in Nepal. There was a position paper for which ANMF was recognized that time. So I now welcome Dr. Sunil Sharma to come and receive the Presidential Recognition Award from our President, Dr. Binod Karka. Dr. Sunil Sharma.